Just a couple of hours ago, we got news that Bradley Beal would be missing the rest of the season as he undergoes season-ending hip surgery because he has a fracture in his hip. That is massive news. We're going to talk about what that means for the Clippers, the good, the bad, etc. Obviously, there's nothing good with the player, but in terms of the Clippers, there may be some positives out of this, ironically, because Beal was not playing great, and more or less that, what this means for Beal himself, etc. So hopefully you enjoy the video. Let's get this video to a like goal of 400 likes. Let me know in the comments down below, is this better for the Clippers, in terms of like them now needing to lean on other players instead, because again, Beal has not been good. We're going to kind of dig into the numbers a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. So Mark Bartelstein of Priority Sports tells ESPN we met with numerous doctors and specialists around the country in collaboration with the entire Clipper medical staff over the last few days, and it came to the decision unanimously, that the surgery will allow Brad to have a full and complete recovery. So that is the most important part of all this, basketball aside. That he is going to be fine. Like, it's not going to be something that impairs his ability to be mobile and his mobility, I guess I should say, or anything like that. And he should be able to return from this and get right back to playing right now. That being said, this is going to knock him out for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens for him after this season, of course. But for the Clippers, they are now, I believe, 3-7 on the season. He has not performed well. Frankly, they performed better with him off the court, which is more or less what I've been trying to get at, obviously. But I wanted to just show you this really quickly. I have this graphic here with Bradley Beal and some of the lineup data. So on the floor, they are a -9 in net rating. But with him off, they're a -4. Now, again, they're bad overall, but they are much better with him off the court, and it's largely because of the defense. They have the league's worst defense when Beal is on the court, for the record. The league's worst defense. The offense is better when he is on the court, but the defense is so much worse that it makes a drastic difference. For example, offensively, they are putting a 120.6 offensive rating with him on the court. With him off the court, it drops to 112 points, or offensive rating, excuse me. So the defense, 129.5 defensive rating with him on the court. 129. Ridiculous, right? But with him off, it's 116. So, like, literally almost like 1.5 times the impact, right? In terms of the defensive negative that he is. And there's also much more of a sample size of him being off the court because they've played more possessions with him off, 243 with him on, 708 with him on. So that being said, again, it just kind of is one of those things that and it's not all Beal's fault. I don't want to make that argument either. It's one of those things where it's compounding. I think the Clippers, obviously, this is not a shocker. This is not breaking news, but they're very old, right? They're very old. I think they have the league's oldest team on average this season. They've got the oldest team in the NBA this season. So I think that you can get some of these older guys like a Brook and some of these other guys, and they can play meaningful rotation minutes on teams. I don't think that's a shocker either. The problem is when you start trying to stack 5, 6, 7. Oh, God. So my 5-year-old's been saying that, and I have no clue what it means. I just don't. Like, I don't think she even knows what it means. I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're not missing anything. Frankly, you should be thanking me. Anyway, when you start trying to stack a handful of these guys, that's where it becomes problematic because you need to infuse more young talent on the roster and in the rotation. And the Clippers do have some guys that fit that bill. Like, for example, John Collins has had a pretty good season for them off the bench, right? They needed that athletic 4 presence for them in the rotation. They went out and got that. But ultimately, though, Beal he's not the only problem, right? But there are multiple problems. He's not the only one, but he is a big problem because what they did here was they decided to trade Powell. And trading Powell, you can argue whether or not they should have, but it's looking like, especially right now in the early part of the season, that they really shouldn't have because Beal was playing really poorly, again, like we just went over, and now he's out for the rest of the season. And meanwhile, Powell is putting up 25 points per game on 64% true shooting. Yeah, he looks quite good. They could really use a player like Norman Powell on this team. I'm not even gonna lie to you. They could really use a player like Norman Powell. Now, it's not that they traded Beal for Powell. It was mostly that they traded John for Powell, if I remember correctly. But regardless, they brought in Beal to make up the difference. They thought that it would, the 2-for-1 would be more than enough. It just hasn't necessarily been. They really need Powell and Collins. I have nothing against Collins. He's been fine. Just Beal has been so bad. So that's mostly been the problem for the Clippers. But ultimately, though, like I said, it's on Beal. Hopefully he does wind up getting healthy and he's fine like it says that he should be. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment here.
Ever hear the Sleeper app? Here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but the app offers so much more. Live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. A news feed, this is so important for me. You can get lightning-fast updates on your favorite players and teams. A real-time chat to allow you to engage with other users about individual plays and performances during the NFL and NBA seasons. So download the #1 sports app today. Experience it for yourself. When you use promo code Bulletin, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And by the way, they do have a phenomenal promo going on right now as well. Free $20 entry. Go check that out. No deposit required. $20 entry for free. Go check them out. Use the link in the description down below, and that promo code is Bulletin.
All right, so I wanted to talk about what this means for the Clippers in the short term. We're going to look at their salaries. The long term with the salaries, but we're going to look at the upcoming schedule and some of the roster and some of that stuff. So does this mean more minutes for when fully healthy anyway? Guys like Chris Dunn, sure. More minutes for a guy like Cam Christie. I think they've got something there. They just need to give him enough burn. That's something I was saying in our last video, is that the Clippers do have some younger guys. They just skew too heavily with the veterans. I don't know if that's politics, Ty Lue's coaching style, any number of different things, but I felt like they needed to infuse more of these guys. I mean, they have some guys on the roster that are older, like Harden, who for the record is still performing really well. He's getting you like 24 and 9, I believe, last time I checked, and he's still looking really good. Derek Jones has been a little bit up and down, but ultimately he's still a really good player for this team. In fact, his percentages are still right in line with his career averages. So I think they've got some of that stuff here. Zubac's minutes are down a little bit, so his production is down a bit too, but he's obviously still a really good center. And so they have some pieces. They just need to make sure that they are playing them as part of their rotation as well long term. And again, some addition by subtraction, I guess, is the statement with Beal there. So that could be a beneficial thing for them. And it forces them to maybe lean on some of the other guys there. And again, Kawhi is also out. So it just depends with this roster. I don't really know. But the thing is with them, when you look at their upcoming schedule, they've lost 5 games in a row. They're about to lose their 6th game in a row because there's no way they're beating Denver tonight. I guess they could. They could. Anything's possible, right? But I wouldn't bank on it. They could potentially win 1 or 2 of the next upcoming games after that between Dallas and Boston. Okay, sure. But at that point, you're what? You're 5-8? Okay, that's not – I mean, like, this 3-7 start is really hard to climb out of, especially with, again, Kawhi being out. You're in a weird situation here. And then you start getting some more tougher games, Philly, Orlando, Charlotte. Okay, that could be a gimme. Cleveland, the other LA team. Like this is a really tough stretch here. They could very realistically go like 3-7 over this stretch, which is already their record. Like that. Ooh, that doesn't get much better. That does not get much better at all. Like that could be a very difficult stretch for them. So for the Clippers, looking at the salaries here, they actually have several different pivot points on this roster that I really like the way they've structured their books, because after the next season, not this one, but the next season, mostly everybody comes off the books except for the rookie, right? Zubac has 20 million, but like everybody else is mostly off the books, right? Cam Christie also 2.5. Okay. But pretty much everyone else is off the books. So you have the ability here, and who knows what happens with the other stuff that was, from the aspirational, that stuff. Anyway, you have the ability here to pivot away from Kawhi, which you should do, for the record. Do not re-sign the man. Pivot away, start something new. It is what it is. Harden, I don't think that it's because of the same reason. He's got a player option for $42 million. He probably picks that up. I think he picks that up, unless he opts to get like a little bit less for a few more years. That could be a thing here. That's the case for him. But otherwise, they should just try to pivot this team and move on from there. Bogdanovich hasn't been great for them just in general. I don't know that they do anything there. Brooke, Batum, Dunn, these are all guys that have team options. They've got so many players on team options that they've got a lot of flexibility. So I really do like the potential direction for the Clippers. The problem is that they're still also sending out some picks, I believe. So I have to go back and look at their assets, which I'm not really going to do. But there's an opportunity. You know what? I actually will see if they have their pick this year, which I'm pretty sure they don't. But there's an opportunity for them here to potentially pivot this really quickly. But this season right now doesn't look great. But again, like I said a couple times, maybe they get some positiveness out of Beal not being there because he hasn't been good for them. He was not something that panned out. He was not what they expected him to be. And yes, I was right. They do not have their 2026 pick. They don't even have their second. No, they have one coming in from Memphis. Brooklyn will receive something there. OKC has swaps on the 27 pick. Sheesh. The good news is that after 27, they're done paying OKC. Sheesh, man. That is brutal because 27 is where they could potentially have bottomed this entire thing out based on the salaries, right? So if they do that, OKC can just swap it. Denver's 27 first-round pick selections, 1 through 5 for LA's first-round pick. Okay. So anyway, this pick stuff is always really messy, but they're almost done. They got one more first going out in 29. Philly has the right to swap, but they're mostly done with that OKC commitment. I'm not even going to talk about that. That's insane. They're still paying for that. But ultimately, though, Beal going out, obviously not great for the player. That doesn't need to be said. You understand that. For the team, it may not be the worst thing. He wasn't playing good for them anyway. And maybe the politics of it all are part of the reason why he should have been somebody that was getting DNPs at this point. He was playing so poorly, he should have been getting DNPs anyway. So it is what it is. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm going to get out of here.